Hey, yes. All right. So thanks for joining. If you're coming in now, I see some people are already here. Thank you for joining. Feel free to type stuff in the comments. We're going to do a really fun recipe. It's not even a recipe. It's really more me using what I have um, and then just using that to make dinner. Because dinner tonight is going to be something very quick. This is actually going to be dinner for tonight. And so my go-to move when I don't feel like doing a lot of cooking, but I want to make something that's quick and easy, is this. It looks crazy because I use it a lot. I don't put food directly on it. I use this parchment paper, but it's a sheet pan, okay? And so we're gonna do a sheet pan dinner. And what I'm gonna use some vegetables. I'm actually gonna use some of this cauliflower here. I'm actually gonna also use some chickpeas, and then I'm also gonna use some sweet potatoes that I have. But you can mix and match with whatever you have. So if you have other vegetables, if you don't have fresh veggies, let's say instead you have frozen vegetables, you can do the same thing with this. But I'm just glad everyone's here. I'm glad y'all are excited. It's gonna be fun because I was actually talking to a friend and she was saying, yeah, I love your recipes, but what about thinking about ways to do something that's simple with very approachable ingredients? And so that's what this is. It's very impromptu, so most of the stuff is prepped, but there are still a couple of things I need to get from my pantry. So I'll be walking back and forth, getting different ingredients. If you could see, let me see, make sure you guys can not cover the screen. I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. I'm gonna come on the other side. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna just pull this up here and then bring you down some so you can see what I'm doing. You don't want to just see me. And if I have to, I'll just bring it up. Oh goodness, it's all crooked. Technical difficulties. This is what happens when you do landscape mode. I probably should have did vertical. We'll make it work. I'll just bend down. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I have my pot here and I also have my cutting board here. So when I'm prepping in general, I think about time. So I already have my oven preheated to 450 degrees because the key, what we're gonna do to get a lot of flavor in a quick amount of time is roast our vegetables. And so in order to roast them and get a nice crispy edge where there's a lot of flavor in a little bit of time, you want your temperature of your oven to be high enough. So I'm gonna put it on 450 degrees. You may need to be a little bit higher at 500 degrees. That's fine. So while the oven is prepping, most of what I'm cooking is going to be this vegetables, the chickpeas, and then I'm also going to do tofu. If you're someone who's cooking meat, you'll have to start your meat first because it's going to take longer to cook that. We'll walk through all that. And again, if you have questions, put stuff in the chat. I'm just glad you guys came. And hopefully you're enjoying it. If you have questions about the ingredients I'm using, just let me know. So I always start with the thing that takes the longest. So what's going to take the longest is this cauliflower. I actually used half of it yesterday to make some like hot and spicy cauliflower florets. So I'm going to do something similar to that today. So all I do, once you've rinsed off your cauliflower, I just break off the florets like this. You could cut it, but I want it to kind of stay together like in little clumps, you see? And this is then going to go on the pan to get roasted. I don't know, what do y'all think? Do you think next time I should do it vertical so you can see me easier? But then you don't get to see all of the area. I'm not sure. Clearly this is impromptu because that part wasn't planned out. So yeah, I'm just breaking up the cauliflower. If you don't have cauliflower, you could do this with broccoli. You could do this with frozen broccoli, whatever frozen vegetables. I'm also gonna be doing this with the sweet potatoes. You could do this with potatoes. What else have I done this with? I've done this with Brussels sprouts. You could do it with cabbage, believe it or not. You don't have to cook cabbage on the stove. So all this is broken up. And if you want, you can do the same thing with this, but I'm gonna save this for maybe stock or something like that. All right, so our florets are broken up. Hey, Shayla. Hey, Miracle. Hey, Benita. Thanks for joining. All right, so our florets are broken up. And so the key, because we're not going to be cooking this over the stove, the main thing is going to be the seasoning. So I have like a little bowl that I keep on the side when I'm cooking, just so I don't have to keep going to the garbage can in general. So that way I'm more efficient. So I put all my veggies in my bowl. I need to put this back in this bowl because it's going to be the bowl that I season with. Okay, so I got that there. And then I already have my potatoes cut up. So my sweet potatoes are already cut up. And so I know some people, when they are looking for ways to cook vegetables in general, they're not sure how to do it. I like this recipe because you just take whatever it is that you have in your house, you cut it up, you add whatever your favorite spices are and seasoning, you put it on the sheet pan, and that oven does magic. Okay? And it's quick. It should take somewhere between 15 to 20 minutes of it roasting on a high temperature to get that caramelization, to get all that flavor, and then go from there. Now, the key is going to be what oil you use. Hey, cousin. Hey, Londa. Thanks for joining. It's so good to see you. If you have questions, let me know. So I got my sweet potatoes here. Hey, Mom. Thanks for joining. Hey, Miss Arrington. Thanks for joining. So I got our sweet potatoes. Yeah, we're just making these veggies now. We're going to roast it up. Thank y'all for coming on. If y'all have questions, let me know, okay? So I got my sweet potatoes. I got my cauliflower. I forgot the oil. The oil is right back there. I promise I'm coming right back. If you have questions, drop them in. Get this oil. Oil. Avocado oil. Cinnamon. I'm coming. Plates. All right. So I got a couple things. I got red pepper flakes. So what are we making? Good question. Some cinnamon and our oil. I'm making a quick sheet pan dinner because a question I get a lot from people is what can I make quickly on a weeknight that doesn't take a long time and I can still get a lot of flavor. So I was telling people my secret is to use sheet pans. So I have my cauliflowers here. Now you guys might not see me. If you're okay with that, I'm gonna do it like this so I don't break my back. I have my cauliflower here. I use avocado oil. I put all my oil in these little bottles so that way I can control how much comes out through here. So I'm gonna just put a little bit of avocado oil. I use avocado oil because it's a oil that does well with high temperatures, so it won't burn when it's in the oven. You don't want to do this with olive oil because olive oil will burn in the oven, and you know that can affect the flavor, but also just affect what it does when you're eating it, right? So if you're cooking with high temperatures, don't use olive oil. You use a neutral oil like avocado. You can use canola oil. The other key is to use parchment paper. Oh, that's another one. Parchment paper. I use this to cover my sheet pan. Like this. That way it means less cleanup. Because that's a big reason why people don't like to cook, is because of how much you got to clean up after. That's another reason why I like sheet pan dinners. So I'm going to use my sheet pan here. Okay, so I got my bowl of cauliflower, and my go-to seasonings are very simple. I usually keep it pretty straightforward. Paprika is my main thing. We're making a quick sheet pan dinner, okay? So someone asked, what are we making? So I'm doing the cauliflower now, and I'm just showing you how I season it to get a lot of flavor. This is paprika. You could do smoked paprika too. And there's no salt in this, so there's no salt in this seasoning. So you can use as much as your heart desires. So I do paprika. I only have a little bit left, but I love using smoked paprika too. It kind of gives that vibe that you get from like barbecue sauce, like very smoky. My secret ingredient is cinnamon. Not a lot, just a little bit. It adds a little bit of sweetness to go with the salty. Then I use crushed red pepper flakes, just because I like stuff to be a little spicy. If I had onion powder, I would use it. I don't have any onion powder, so I'm going to use garlic powder. Let me get that. Garlic powder. All right. So I do a little bit of garlic powder. I'm about to trip over that cord. Oh, wow. Good idea for the oil. Yeah. Yeah, that oil bottle is key. Like when you're storing your oil, you want to keep it away from light anyway, just because it can make it go bad quicker. So I keep my oil either in my pantry or in a cabinet, and I as soon as I get it from the grocery store, I put it in the in that bottle. Now I'm not going to add salt to it right now. I'll add the salt once it comes out the oven, because it's going to get really dehydrated when it's roasted. And a lot of the water is going to leave. So I'll salt it right before. So this is how it looks. You want to get as much of that seasoning all over. And the red is the paprika. The paprika gives that nice color. And the oil is important because that'll prevent the vegetables from burning. Okay. So I'm gonna pour my oil, excuse me, my oil. I'm gonna pour my cauliflower right onto the sheet pan. All I use is olive oil, so it's the best oil. If you don't like the taste of avocado oil, you could do a neutral oil. You could do coconut oil. You could do canola oil. You could do any vegetable oil. I'm just breaking up the florets into a little bit smaller chunks, just because it's gonna be for me and Alicia and Ralph. And you know, Alicia, she's 6, so she needs a little bit smaller pieces. So that's how the cauliflower looks. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this grapeseed oil. That's right, Benita. You can use grapeseed oil. Good catch. You can definitely use grapeseed oil. So this is gonna go into the oven right now. All right. I wish y'all could see me. I don't know if I'm liking this landscape view, because I got to keep doing this for y'all to see me. So in that same bowl, I'm going to go ahead and put my sweet potatoes. And I'm going to do the same exact thing. Okay? So I'm going to add a little bit of cinnamon. I like my sweet potatoes to be sweet and savory. The sweet potatoes are already sweet. They're already sweet. So when you roast them, that natural sweetness is going to come out even more. And I'm adding some of my paprika. I'm going to add a little bit of this garlic powder. I'm not going to name names, but I know people that I love dearly, and they make their sweet potatoes and they add a lot of sugar. And I get it because it tastes really good. But when you roast the sweet potatoes, it brings out that sugar even more, because I mean, that's why they're called sweet potatoes. So the roasting helps with that. And I'm going to add some of this crushed red pepper flakes. But what are some of y'all's favorite seasonings? I'm going to add a little bit of black pepper. And then I'm going to finish it off with some of this avocado oil. And like Benita said, you could do grapeseed oil. You could also do coconut oil. You could do vegetable oil. But I would stay away from olive oil with roasting. And so now my sweet potatoes are all seasoned. And again, I'm not going to add salt right now. I'm going to do that once it comes out of the oven. I'm going to show you a little trick that I do for my veggies when I'm cooking like this. Now for this sheet pan, we're going to put 2 things. As you may have noticed, if I did the cauliflower, I'm doing the sweet potatoes here. So here's the sweet potatoes. Again, make sure you put that parchment paper on your sheet pan so that's less cleaning, okay? Now and I'm using the same bowl to season everything, so that also means less cleanup, okay? Now, here are my chickpeas. I pour them right into that same bowl. It's the same thing over and over. I told you it's a quick meal, quick dinner. So again, paprika is my friend. Like, I love paprika. I love the color it gives. I love the taste it gives. A little bit of garlic here. See? And because all these seasonings don't have salt in it, you can add as much or as little as you like. A little bit of cinnamon, not too much. And again, I'm going to add some crushed red pepper flakes. Now, a lot of people, they struggle with veggies in general because of the flavor or the lack of flavor. So this is where you add flavor. A little bit of the oil. Remember, the oil helps so that the seasoning gets distributed all over the food. But it also helps for when it's in the oven, it gets nice and roasted. It gets that crispiness we want. You just want to make sure you use a sheet pan that's big enough to hold everything so it doesn't steam when it's in there. Because if things are too close, it'll steam instead of roasting. So I'm just pouring my chickpeas right into that same pan as the sweet potatoes. And you can see you see that? See my chickpeas? Look at that color. Look at my fingers. That's the color that's on the food. And this is going to go into the oven. So I'm going to put this in the oven now. All right, I'm coming. Okay, wash my hands just so it could be a little bit cleaner. And show y'all my next trick that I like to do to add flavor. So you may say, okay, you put all those veggies in the oven. Sounds good, Shayla. What now? So now what I would do, I'm not doing it right now because I'm not eating dinner right now. But if this was 7 o'clock at night, what I would do next is start my rice. I don't cook the rice over the stovetop. I'm actually cooking in an Instapot. And so I will set my rice to cook that while the food is in the oven, because it will be in the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. And so while your food's in the oven, you could be cleaning like this, putting up all your seasonings. You're not standing over the stove. You're not watching anything. You set your timer and you walk away. That's why I love sheet pan meals, because you can set it and then you can forget it. As long as you put a timer so that your food doesn't burn. And then you get all the flavor. You have a home cooked meal ready for you. But the thing that I think takes it to the next level is this. So once they come out, the veggies will all be nice and crispy, nice and roasted, super flavorful. And to me, I feel like it's missing a little bit of sauce. And so what I was actually talking to a friend about this, and she was telling me how she realized a lot of hidden calories were in the sauce that she was using. Oh, guys, I forgot to do the tofu. I was so busy talking. I got this tofu just sitting here. Let me do this tofu. I was wondering why I had this cutting board. See, this is really happening. This is no edits. But we'll make it quick. So it's an extra firm tofu. I know some people don't like the texture of tofu. So if it's not something you like, don't feel like you have to do this step. I like to add tofu to my meals to add more protein, because I don't often eat a lot of meat. And so if you're someone who's trying to decrease how much meat you eat, you could do tofu. You could also do the chickpeas. So the chickpeas that we use, they have about 6 grams of protein for about, I think every quarter, I don't want to misspeak, I think it's every quarter of a cup. Whatever the serving size is, they're about 6 grams of protein. So all I did was cut the tofu into cubes. See? And I'm going to put it in the same bowl I seasoned everything else in. You see? Now, the thing about tofu is that it takes on whatever you season it with. So really, if I have more time, I marinate it just like how you would marinate meat. I marinate it so that it can really soak up all the sauce, all the flavor, I should say. But because this is the quick dry rub, I'm just going to add those same seasonings. Now, let's say you don't like garlic. Maybe you're someone, you could do simple salt and pepper. Well, I shouldn't say simple. You could just do salt and pepper. This is some of the crushed red pepper flakes. I've also done this, like if I want more of an Indian flavor, or Indian inspired flavor, I'll use cumin. I've also done this with, what else have I done it with? I can't think off the top of my head. I've also tried it with like more hot spices. Like my husband, he's from Ghana, and his mom shared with us some of her hot peppers. So sometimes I'll cook it with that just to introduce something different. The sauce also helps with that, which is why I like to add a sauce to the end, just so things, aren't too boring, honestly. So I'm actually I'm done. I'm done with the tofu. Now, I would say, super secret tip, if you add a little bit of cornstarch to this tofu, just a little bit, or even flour, like maybe a teaspoon or a tablespoon, it crisps it up so that it has a little bit of a crunch, which can help. A lot of times that texture is what helps people feel like the food tastes better. So that's just another pro tip. I'm not doing that now just because my cornstarch is in the pantry. I don't feel like taking it out, washing my hands, putting it all in. But you could add that. I did that last night for our dish, and it came out really good. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on a new sheet pan. Let me get a new sheet pan. Oh, almost busted my butt. This cord, let me move this cord out the way. Okay, so let's see. So I got my sheet pan here. Again, make sure you use that parchment paper so that way you don't have to clean up a lot. Does anybody here like to do a lot of sheet pan dinners? Is that something you've tried before? I love doing this, especially when I'm like rushing with time. As you can see, it very well lends itself to a quick meal. And if you're not talking to the camera while you're doing it, it's even quicker because you'll have everything planned out. So the key is just make sure there's a lot of space between everything so that way it doesn't steam, it actually roasts. So I'm going to put this in the oven too. All right. Now's my favorite part. So we finished the seasoning of the veggies. Now what we're going to do, keep everything clean. That's something I'm learning how to get better at, is cleaning as I go. So that way when I'm done, there's not like a whole bunch of stuff for me to do. So we finished seasoning everything. So you can eat this with rice. You could have this. I've actually used some of this to top my salad with. You know, you could do it as a stir fry if you wanted to. Like, so let's say you make this and it's leftovers the next day. You can do a stir fry. You can add it to pasta. I've used it to put on top of my avocado toast, especially the chickpeas. That's a recipe I love. So lots of different ways you could do this. You could just eat it just like this. You can have your chickpeas with the tofu, with the vegetables. You don't necessarily need any rice because you're going to get a lot of energy from the sweet potatoes. So now we're going to make the sauce, okay? So I'm just going to turn this on. This is my pot here. So the base of our sauce, so this is where a lot of people can get a lot of hidden calories when you're buying sauces because they tend to add a lot of sugar, a lot of fat to increase the flavor. So what I'm doing, the base of this sauce is going to be a couple of different things I want to share with y'all. So when I think of flavor, I think salt, fat, acid, heat. So my salt for this predominantly is going to be a broth, actually. So this is a broth I made a couple days ago. It's actually a veggie broth. So this will be the predominant ingredient of this sauce. We're going to bring it up to a simmer, to a boil, and then we're going to simmer it. So all my salt kind of umami flavor is going to be in this vegetable broth. And so now think about how do I want to make it more complex. I want this to be like a hot and sweet sauce. Almost like if you went to a takeout place and you got like a sweet and spicy or sesame chicken or something like that, kind of replicate that. So you can do it two ways. You can add brown sugar, white sugar. I'm actually going to stick with no refined sugar. I'm going to use maple syrup. You want to be careful with how much you use. I'm actually going to, let me get a spoon so I'm not messing it up. But before I add that, I add a little bit of garlic powder to give a little bit more flavor to the vegetable broth. Because I want it to be spicy, I'm going to do two different things for spice. I'm going to do red pepper flakes. Ooh, that was a lot of red pepper flakes. That might have been too much spice. And hot sauce, okay? Now, hot sauce, surprisingly, if you look at the ingredients, it depends. But in this, the ingredient is aged red peppers, vinegar, water, salt. That's it. So I'm going to add a couple heavy, or maybe 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 dashes of hot sauce to this, okay? And the cool thing about this, you want to taste it as you go, right? Because you're making it based off what you think tastes good, not what someone else thinks tastes good, right? I'm going to add a little bit of paprika. I love paprika. And let me get a spoon and I'm going to stir it up, okay? Just getting my spoons, and I thought about, I wanted to get some sesame seed too, because I got inspired. I wanted to get some sesame seeds to get like more of a sesame seed vibe. All right, so now that I got my spoon, I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of maple syrup to that, and let that rest there. And then, like I said, I'm bringing it to a quick boil, so all those flavors can come together. And then you let it simmer. And all this is happening while your food is cooking. So then once the food is done, you can toss it in this sauce. It'll be like a glaze almost. You toss it in that, and I'll finish it with a little bit of sesame seeds. And it'll make it taste really, really good. And of course, like I always tell people, you taste as you go, so that way you can adjust as you need it. I brought a couple of spoons so I can taste it. Wow. I think that's already it. It's spicy because I put a lot of red pepper flakes in there. So let me show you how it looks. It's very liquidy right now. And that's why I bring it to a boil really fast so it can bubble up, all the flavors come together. And then you put it on simmer so it can turn into a glaze and less of a liquid. So that way it's easier for it to be a sauce for your food. And again, like, this is all very hands off. I've done all the hard parts. Now it's about, if you're doing this at home, you clean up during this part. So I put up my seasonings, put up my sauces. You know, I'd be checking on my rice right now. You know, like just cleaning up. That way, once everything is done, I'm not looking all over the place. So I might just do a little bit of that, so that way you guys can see like I really mean this. So I don't. Oh, and it's already look how quickly I love this burner. It's already at a boil. So I'm gonna bring it to a simmer. And then I'm gonna leave my sesame seed. I'm gonna leave the maple syrup just in case I need a little bit more. And I'm gonna just go ahead and put my seasonings back up. Now for my family does, still eat meat. So they'll be having this with a side of chicken. Um, which I'll cook later. I'm not actually gonna cook that now. But the chicken is the same principle. So like when I do this, when I have people coming over, I'll do like a big sheet pan, and I'll have chicken like seasoned already. I'll have the veggies on the other side. I'll put it in the oven for like 40 minutes. Have a temperature probe there so you can know what the what the temperature is of the chicken, because you want to cook it to 165 degrees Fahrenheit to make sure it's done all the way through and decrease the risk of any bad microbes there. But that's what I like to do for my family because they still eat meat. But if you're someone, you're trying to decrease how much meat you eat and you still want high protein, or you're vegetarian, or you're trying out vegan, this is a good option. You get your protein from your chickpeas, you get your protein from your tofu, you get your fiber from your cauliflower, your fiber from your sweet potatoes. And you get flavor from the sauce and also from the seasoning. So I think it's the best of both worlds. And it's so quick. It's so quick. So that's why I really love it. Very, very quick. It's quick enough for me to do a live one. And if I wasn't yapping, it would be done already, And I appreciate everyone showing up. I really do. I think we should do this more often, which I want to do this more often where I come in. I don't know if this 12 o'clock time is the best time. Maybe later on. Tell me what y'all think. This is another key thing though. Using this bowl, this is huge because like I said, it helps me put stuff in the trash without having to walk to the trash all the time. Because that's just wasted motion in my opinion. And this is actually a bowl of some leftover potatoes. That's another thing I would say when you're cooking. Like what I try to do is cook things in parts so that way I can sub it out throughout the week. So for instance, even when I'm making now with the chickpeas and the tofu and the cauliflower, some of that we'll eat today, but we won't eat all of it. And so whatever we don't eat, I'll put that in a different Tupperware throughout the week, and then I can mix and match it to do something else with. So maybe I'll use the chickpeas later as a topping to a salad, or a topping to my avocado toast, or I can use the cauliflower as a snack, because of the crunch that it'll have, and still get some fiber in. So like little ways you can mix and match instead of making this big, like putting it all in the same pot, and then it's like, oh, I have to eat the same thing over and over for so many days, and then you get bored. I try to stay away from that just because I get bored very easily when it comes to meals, so I'm always thinking about that. Oh, another thing I wanted to share: salt, fat, acid, heat. So that's another salt, fat, acid. Those are 4 things I'm always thinking when I'm cooking. So where am I getting my salt? So for this sauce, for instance, we're getting our salt from the vegetable broth. Where am I getting my acid? I got my acid from the hot sauce, because it has vinegar in it. Where am I getting my heat? From the hot sauce, but also from the red pepper flakes. Where am I getting my fat? We didn't add any fat into it right now, but there'll be fat from when we roasted the vegetables. You could add a little bit of oil to this. Got to be careful because oil does have a lot of calories, and people can kind of underestimate how much oil they're using. So you could consider that. Just got to be really mindful of that. And then those 4 things combined, they tend to make very flavorful things. So if you think about that when you're cooking, that can help you come up with different ways to cook things and not necessarily lean on recipes. Though if you need to lean on recipes, you do what works best for you, right? Those are just some things that I've learned over the course of being more confident in my cooking. So I'm gonna put these seasonings up. If y'all have questions, let me know. Let me know. So I think the veggies are going to be done in like 5 minutes. So I have these little cooling, they're called trevets. Trevets is the tea salad. Treves, I'm not sure. But I like to use these when I'm taking the sheet pans out of the oven, so that way it's not I'm not sitting it right on my counter with all that hot heat. The sauce is simmering away, smelling so good. Oh, it smells so good in here. I'm gonna put this in the refrigerator, leave this out. So look what I found. This is what I found. Well, don't look at the label. Oh wait, no, the label's correct. So last night we made, no, not last night. Was it last night? I can't remember. What? When did I make this right? Is today the 5th? The 6th? I made rice for something. I can't remember. Oh, I made curry on Sunday. I made curry on Sunday and I saved the rice. So like if you have leftover rice, this is perfect for doing stir fries with. Or for this particular recipe, you could warm up this rice and put those, like the chickpeas or whatever vegetables you use, put them on top of the rice and the sauce, and boom, you got a great meal. All right, the sauce is looking really good. I don't know if you can see. I'm trying to bring it to you guys. It's coming together. It's looking nice and glossy. Okay. The other thing I would say, when it comes to cooking, at least for me, I know everybody's not like this, but I eat with my eyes. And so the prettier something looks, and it has to taste good, but the prettier something looks, the more likely I'm going to want it. And so what we're going to do, we'll toss our veggies in this sauce. We'll add some sesame seeds on top. And then another thing we'll do is we'll add a nice, pretty green garnish to give it a nice, just get that greenness. It adds a nice pizzazz to things to look really good. So what I typically use, I'll either use parsley or I'll use scallions. And so for this recipe, I'm thinking about scallions just because I want a little bit of that bite and I like the color. So I'm gonna get some scallions from the refrigerator and dice those up for you guys. So I rinsed off my scallions. There's 2 minutes left on the food in the oven. So if you think about it, we've been on for about 30-ish minutes. I would say if you take away like 7 of those minutes of me talking, you could probably get this meal done in about 25 minutes. And I think that's pretty good for a weeknight meal. Especially if you're coming home from work, you're rushing, you don't feel like sitting over the stove. This is perfect for that. So I got my scallions here. I'm going to bring you guys down so you can see me just chopping them a little bit. So we can do some knife skills while we're chatting. So knife skills. The way I hold my knife. Thumb, forefinger. So you want to hold the blade. Not this, because you don't have as much control. So thumb, forefinger. Not underneath, because you'll cut yourself. And then these 3 fingers, you put around the handle, okay, so that way you have control. So that way the knife is like a natural extension of your hand. So you can see finger, thumb, the other fingers are back here. And then what I do, you want to make sure you're using a claw when you're cutting. So when you cut, the knife always is hitting your knuckle, not your finger, your knuckle, and that keeps your fingers protected. So I make like a C like this, and I just cut straight down. It's hard for you guys to tell because you're so far away, but I'm making my claw like this, and I just come across my fingers, not across my fingers, across my knuckle without cutting myself. The other key I would say, make sure your knife is extremely sharp, because if you have a dull knife, it will skip over what you're cutting, and you're more likely to cut yourself. So it's actually less safe to have a dull knife than a sharp knife. If you don't feel comfortable holding the blade, like I said, another trick you could do is put your hands over the blade and just rock across something. So if you're like what I'm doing, I'm chopping something small, so you just rock across. So just a couple of knife skills. That'll definitely help when you're cutting stuff and you want to be more efficient. Oh, you hear that? That's our food. And our sauce just came together. Our sauce is done. So I'm going to turn off this. And I'm going to get our food up here, okay? move you out the way. I love sheet pan dinners. It's my favorite dinner. It's my favorite. Okay. We're gonna put our scallions in here. So there's our scallions we cut up real fine. Put those in here. Like this. Okay. Move that out the way. Okay. All right, we got our first pan that's done. As you can see, there's our chickpeas and our sweet potatoes. So we'll put them right here on this trivet. We got our second pan that's done. That's our, can you see the steam? That's our cauliflower. We'll put that on the trivet. I'm gonna leave the tofu over there because there's not enough space. I really don't want to burn myself. But I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna just show you the tofu. Here's the tofu. How the tofu's looking. Can you hear the steam? Okay. All right. Okay, so let's make our plate. I just put some of the tofu in a bowl. Taste it. I feel like you cannot mess up with paprika. Now remember, we didn't put any salt or anything yet. So now I'm gonna just go ahead and add pinches of salt to everything. It's a nice healthy pinch. If you're someone you're trying to be more mindful, blood pressure, salt intake, you can skip this step and just go straight to the sauce. I do it at the end because, like I said, you get a lot of dehydration from the cauliflower and the veggies cooking. And so you don't want to add too much salt beforehand. And it's easier for the veggies to hold on to the salt once it's cooked. Same thing with the sweet potatoes and the chickpeas. Okay, so now if I was at home, what I would do is I'd start off with my rice. Let's just act like I'm eating this. Maybe I'll eat it for lunch. So I'm gonna take some of this rice. I'll just take all of it, probably. Some of this might be for Alicia for later. Take that rice. See? I'm gonna put it in the oven. I mean, not the oven, Lord. I'm gonna put it in the microwave. While that's in the oven, I got my bowl here. So let's see. I'm gonna toss some of my tofu. I'm gonna get some of my chickpeas. I'm gonna get some of the sweet potatoes. And the sweet potatoes are, look how cooked they are. I mean, I have a spoon and I was able to just break right open. So nice and soft. Look at that. Tastes amazing. And it's because I put it on high enough heat. Okay? And then cauliflower, same thing. Look at how tender this cauliflower is. Okay? So cauliflower, put that right in there. I think that's a nice mix. Then I'll get my sauce. And I'm going to just pour it right into the bowl. Like that. And then I'm just going to toss it. Now, this goes back to my earlier point. I like to keep the sauce separate from the ingredients until I prepare them. Instead of dumping everything into the sauce and then I have to eat it like that no matter what, I add the sauce to what I want. So I'm just adding the sauce right onto it. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit of sesame seed just so it can look pretty. So you can see that. And then, oh, that's really good. I'm gonna get my rice. So now my rice is nice and hot. Put my rice there, get my spoon, and I'm gonna just start taking it, putting it right on top of the rice. So make sure I get a little bit of everything. Got my broccoli, not broccoli, my cauliflower, my sweet potatoes, my chickpeas, my tofu. This, that, nice and pretty. That sauce is drizzled on top real nice. This. And then the best part, in my opinion, I always like to wipe my bowl. I'm so much. I wipe my bowl just so it can stay nice and clean and look pretty when I bring it to the table. So that's how it looks right now. Can you see? Ooh, it's hot. I really warmed this up a lot. And then get my scallions and just drizzle them on top. And then if you're a real saucy person, you can add a little bit more sauce. Because remember, this is mainly just vegetable broth, and a little bit of maple syrup, and then seasonings. And that's it. That's your meal. Doesn't that look pretty? When you eat that, like that. If you want a little bit more sesame seed, like this, just so I can have that nice takeout vibe. That's it. We did it. This is really going to be dinner tonight. I'm going to take a bite. I already know it tastes good because I've been cheating. Ooh, the bowl is so hot. I warmed it up a lot. So I'm going to get a little bit of my chickpeas. I should use with a spoon. Chickpeas, cauliflower, a little bit of tofu, a little bit of rice. It's spicy. It's sweet. It's savory. I'm not gonna lie, the rice tasted over the top too. And the sweetness from the sweet potatoes is really good. But it reminds me of getting takeout. Now I'm not gonna sit here and say it tastes just like getting takeout, but it's really close. Man, so I think we call this a success. Would y'all try that? Wow. So I'm gonna make some more rice tonight in the Instapot so that this goes with it. And they're gonna have there's the chicken. Oh my goodness. That is really good. And really, I'm surprised at how easily the sweet potatoes came out so soft. It took us 25 minutes, but it's because the temperature was really high. That's good, guys. And look at how pretty the cauliflower looks, like because of the roasting. You see that? So we did it. I think I'm gonna keep doing this every week. Go live and just share with you guys what you want to see. I did this dinner recipe because a friend said, can you make something that's quick and simple and uses very approachable ingredients? I'll try to stick with that routine. If there's something specific you want to see, let me know. Make sure you check out the description. We have 7 healthy weeknight dinner recipes in the description. It's a link, free recipes, give you some inspiration for 7, dinner ideas you can try on your own. In addition to this, hope you subscribe, hope you like it. Thanks for joining. As long as you don't have any questions, I'm about to go take this and eat on my own. This is about to be my lunch for real. It's so good. It's the sauce, the roasting, everything. I wish somebody else was here so they can verify. That is good. And it looks so pretty too. Thank y'all for joining. I appreciate it. We'll see if I know how to turn this off easily. I'll see y'all next time. Thanks again. Make sure you make some of this. Bye.